Speaking of Florida, I don't know if you heard, but as of this morning, Florida company Publix has just said that they are encouraging people not to open carry in their stores anymore. So they're just like joining the list of other retailers like Walmart, CVS, Kroger, and Walgreens that are against open carry. Give me your thoughts on the open carry thing and the way that they're using it to kind of promote a false sense of security and to really appeal to the emotions of snowflakes who don't want to see someone carrying a gun supporting the Second Amendment.
Well, with Publix just recently joined the list, that actually hits really close to home because I was an employee for Publix for over 20 years. I worked with the company from high school until just recently, about a year ago, I finally retired. And I know the founding of the company. I know the founder and how conservative he was and things like that. And we've to see the company stray. I don't. I say I don't. Um, for me, it wasn't a stretch to see them go down that path because of the way they've been moving here of late. If you remember last year, David Hogg held a die-in in many public stores across the state because I believe they were supporting Adam Putnam for governor, and they had given to his campaign previously. And Adam Putnam was linked to the NRA, so David Hogg wanted to go in there and make a statement. And the way Publix backed off on it, I knew it was only a matter of time before they fell down this path of, not wanting people to open carry in their stores. And to me, I feel actually safer when I actually people open carry. I'm like, all right, I got somebody that got my six, man. you know,
Right,
I'm not the only one here that's going to be able to help stop something.
right.
Um, but to continue to give in to all these to the emotions of the to the left, anytime any tragedy happens, you don't see that same type of outrage whenever you see a massive car accident on any of our highways across the United States. You don't see boycotts going out there. Hey, we need to get these cars off the street. You don't see any
Yeah,
of that, and it's just hypocritical. It's just disappointing to see companies like that continue to give in.
yeah. It's horrible to see companies bend the knee to the outrage mob because it's all just delusion. It's all delusion. It's all fake. They're not really upset about this. They just want power. They just want to be able to say, I made a company do something. I drove some kind of change. That doesn't change anything. Banning open carry, telling people they can't open carry, that does zero to stop mass shootings. It absolutely does nothing except appease and appeal to emotion of people who are just being soft. They just want power. They're like, my feelings are hurt if I see someone open carry. We see open carry all the time. Every cop you've ever seen, you can see their gun. I think it's actually not triggering at all, at least for me, to see somebody open carry. It's very rare that I see just a private citizen open carry, but if I did, I wouldn't be bothered in the least bit. In fact, I would feel probably safer because he's showing that, yeah, I'm armed. So if anybody tried to walk into a store and let's say they wanted to commit a mass shooting, they see a guy at the register checking out and his firearms right there. He's gonna think twice about it.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Here's another thing about the open carry. When you see people open carry in public, the gun's holstered. They're not coming in swinging the gun around or anything like that. It's not like they're uh, posing harm just by open carrying. It's holstered on their side, or sometimes it's concealed as well. You might not even see it. How many people you may have walked by that actually is concealed, and you live to tell the story?
I know, right? Yeah, it's so dumb. And this corporate social justice, I don't really know where it started. I want to say like I noticed, I'm sure it happened before this, but the first time I noticed it was with Starbucks last year. Remember the Starbucks controversy where they had two black guys in the Philadelphia Starbucks that didn't buy anything, and the next thing you know, Starbucks is like, "Oh no, we're so not racist. We're going to prove we're not racist. We're going to let poor people and homeless people use our bathrooms, even though they're going to leave needles and shoot up in there and not clean it and stuff." The overreaction to appear like they're not racist actually created a whole new set of problems for themselves because they wanted to appease the masses. You know, I believe it was Dick's Sporting Goods last year. I think it was after the Parkland shooting. They
It
said
was.
we're banning AR-15s. We're not going to. It's like, man, it doesn't make any sense. They think that if they just ban certain guns, if they discourage people from open carry, and if they put more regulations on the books, that will solve the problem. That's why it's not a conspiracy theory to say that the left absolutely wants to undermine the Second Amendment and just wipe it out altogether, because they know that what they're proposing right now won't stop mass shootings. Mass shootings are going to continue to happen, especially if you put big fat gun-free zones on top of what they call soft targets, schools, movie theaters, shopping malls, places like that, where there's no armed security and citizens can't protect themselves, you're going to have more mass shootings. So I think with the legislation they're proposing and everything else, that's going to create more mass shootings. Nobody loves this more than somebody who actually wants to commit a mass shooting. They're
Oh,
like, yeah, they're going to ban guns. They're going to say this and that. I know there's no guns in here because there's a sign and people abide by the law. I don't. It's just
right.
it's like they know what they're doing. And for the kind of, I guess, rank and file, just everyday normies, in their minds, they believe that legislation is going to work. They just want to feel like they're making a difference, even though they're not.
Yeah, feel good legislation never works out. How's the war on drugs going on right now?
Yeah.
I think we still have plenty of drugs pouring over here and still impacting communities all across the nation. The biggest thing I uh, wanted to do as just an individual is to show my children the importance of being able to operate a firearm, to know not to be scared of it. And I live on a big 5-acre plot of land out here in the country, and we go out there and we shoot our guns. We show them gun safety, show them how to utilize the weapons, because at the end of the day, they know all it is a tool to defend yourself with, and that's what we use it for.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. We need to get rid of the stigmas around guns, because guns aren't the problem, just like cars aren't the problem, just like any other weapon that's been used isn't the problem. There's so many other problems we could address. We could dig this up by the root if we actually cared about solving the problems, which I think people do. People who support other, you know, measures. Maybe let's look into mental health. Let's look into the pharmaceutical industry and what that does to people. Let's look at the microcosms of the sick person that commits the crime. Like, what leads to that? They're coming from single parent homes and stuff like that. But instead, we demonize the gun. It's like there's a meme that said, it's a meme. It's got Hillary, and the top part of the meme, it says, shoot a dog, you're evil. Shoot a human, guns are evil.
Absolutely.
That's what they say. If someone shot a dog, they wouldn't blame the gun. They blame the person. They say you're a monster. But as soon as they shoot a person, they're like, that gun did it. It's the gun. Arrest the gun officer. It's the gun is stigmatized. And in fact, I see a gun the same way I see a fire extinguisher. I'm going to have it in my house in case I need it. But hopefully I don't need it. Only time I'm ever firing my gun is at a gun range.
Yep.
I shouldn't need it for anything else. You could give me 10 AR-15s right now and they would just collect dust, unless I was going to a gun range. Unless I was going to a gun range, that's the only, or defending my house. Those are only times it's ever going to get used. And that's kind of the point, you know.
Yeah.
And
I spend more time cleaning my guns than I actually do firing them.
I know, it's kind of sad actually when you think about it. It's like, dang, man. It's a fun toy. It's no different than like if you use a jackhammer or a drill. You get a little bit of adrenaline out of it. It's harmless. And but for whatever reason, it's the people who don't own guns that are pushing for it the most.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And it's always in the places that have the strictest gun laws. You know, Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, she was just going back and forth with Ted Cruz about a week ago. And she was talking about how, because he called out the gun violence in Chicago. He's like, gun violence in Chicago is as high as it's ever been. And you guys have some of the strictest gun laws. And her response to that was, well, most of the guns that we find on these criminals came from other states that are Republican. You guys won't pass gun safety measures. I'm like, so you just made his point that gun laws don't work because
No, they don't.
the criminals in your city are just finding another way. So if you ban them in Indiana and Wisconsin and the other states that border you, they're just going to get them from further states. Criminals don't follow
And,
laws, is the point.
and just to expound on that point a little bit more, it's not even rifles that they're using in Chicago. They're using handguns.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. But we never talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about it because it's racist. We're not allowed to talk about that like 6% of our population commits 50% of the gun murders or
mm-hmm.
the gun crime. And it's the cities with the strictest gun laws. And places like Europe, the UK, they have more knife crime than places like New York. So if you ban guns, they're just going to go to the next weapon. Liberty Hangout, they did a video where they went in Walmart. They're like, all right, Walmart's against open carry. Let's walk around the store and see what else is dangerous. And of course, they have knives right there that anyone could grab.
Yeah.
So they don't really care about safety. They care about virtue.
Absolutely. I would wonder what the reaction would be if somebody decided to walk into these places that say, don't walk in with your open carry guns. If they walked in with like a bow, crossbow, or a big old sword and walked into these swords, or into these stores with those weapons, I wonder if they would be asked to leave or be like, it's
Yeah,
not a gun.
I know. Right. What's more alarming? I can tell you what would be more alarming to me, someone walking in with a crossbow than someone walking in with a gun on their
Oh,
hip,
absolutely.
holstered, you know? Someone walks in with a huge crossbow. I would be a lot more concerned than someone who has a pistol on their hip.